Are you a brewhead? I'm a brewhead. Are you a brewhead? I'm a brewhead. Y'all are brewheads? Yeah, we brewheads. So pour a glass of craft beer, we can do this. Yeah.
What's good, y'all? This is C Certified Brewhead, and welcome to another edition of BML here on BAOS. This evening, I have some bangers that we brought back all the way from Norfolk, Virginia, from O'Connor Brewing. I think it was episode 148, if I'm not mistaken, of the podcast where we sat down with Kevin O'Connor of the second largest brewery in the state of Virginia. Very, very cool. The facility was huge, super dope stuff. Tap room was great. Super cozy vibes, staff were wonderful. Kevin was a legend, super funny. He's just an OG, and it was really cool just to see the way he talked and the way he thought. So we brought back a few beers, and I figured these are some taproom only options. They had a bunch of other stuff there, but I chose the taproom stuff, I guess because you can't get them usually, and it's a bit more interesting. It would encourage hopefully encourage people to get down to the brewery to get them. So the three beers we're having tonight are all really interesting. The first one is called Spritz. It's a Brut IPA, but it's a beer version of an Aperol Spritz, which we're going to talk about in a sec. We have a no-boil triple dry hopped IPA, and of course a Team Lactose Berliner Weiss with fruit. So let's get her going. So the Spritz is a Brut Berliner Weiss, 7.3%. It's actually quite high for a Berliner, but it is what it is. I love the consistent designs. You can see the designs, I really, really like that. So this is with apricot, bitter orange peel, rhubarb, sage, star anise, and rosemary. So I don't know if you guys have noticed this. It's something that's fascinating. As like marketers, Tiff and I are, it's really interesting to see the Aperol Spritz has been strangely kind of like pushed over the last, few months since before summer. So they've done like a worldwide push, and there's bus shelter ads, and there's basically a ton of promotion for this drink. It's just a cocktail. So the clever folks at O'Connor, I believe it was, I don't remember his name, but it was one of the bar staff, came up with an idea for a beer version of it. Now, I'm going to be honest, I've never had a Aperol Spritz, but we drank this during the podcast because it was coming out a few days later. I haven't had one, maybe had one since, but I kind of hang on to these. So it pours nice and opaque, great foamy head. It just smells like straight spices, so get in here. I really want to have an Aperol Spritz and see if this is what it tastes like. So granted, these beers, I got them a few weeks ago. There's no thing on it. How long do you reckon we got them, babe? Like maybe 3
weeks ago?
Yeah, or maybe 4.
Yeah, 3 to 4.
3 to 4 weeks ago. No, it was longer. Virginia was the middle trip. Shit, it's probably like 5 or 6 weeks ago. So it's a little later. I should have done this earlier, but things have been insane.
Virginia was before Jamaica or after?
After Jamaica, but before Toronto and Vermont.
Oh, okay.
And then before New York. It's been a big travel month for us, guys. So this is great. Like, I definitely want to have an Aperol Spritz next time I'm out. It's almost like you can taste every spice that's listed. The star anise, the rosemary gives, like, I've had beers with rosemary before. Sage is a little much of a new one, so I'm not really sure exactly, but rhubarb gives that subtle kind of like earthiness. There's a bit of orange peel, of course, that citrusy bitterness, which I quite like. Like I said, 7.7 or 7.3? 7.3, but yo, it's like super crushable. It's very refreshing, very citrus. The citrus is really up front the more I'm sipping. I really like it. I think it's such a smart idea to replicate a popular cocktail, even if it's not popular because they've been marketing it, but something that's being pushed, and it's just a dope idea. All right, next up, Environmental Consciousness Triple Dry Hopped No Boil IPA. This bad boy is 7.7%, and that's what I was getting confused with. And if I'm not mistaken, maybe it was this one or another one. I can't remember. There was one that was giving something back to animals. Was it any of these ones? I don't remember. But either way, a no-boil IPA is an interesting one. I've had some of these before. I don't recall the exact specifics as to what a no-boil IPA entails. But it definitely, like, I triple dry hops, so it's been like pounded with hops. And I believe it's just kind of like, I've also seen these positioned as raw IPAs versus no boil. Yeah, it smells like super hoppy. It doesn't say the hops on here. I'm sure Untapped will give us more information. Wicked Head looks very similar to the other beer. It's a little brighter, more opaque than hazy. The nose, yeah, super good. A little dank, but tons of hops. So, mate, get in here. Yeah, it's kind of West Coasty. A little piney, a little dank, sweet, malty, creamy. But super crushable. 7.7, that's pretty high. It definitely doesn't taste overly boozy. The piney bitterness is kind of up front here. I'm curious as to why. I'm not sure if it was like intentional or if it was more of a West Coast style just with the no boil. I think I've seen raw IPAs generally as more of a New England style. Being this seemed one of those East meets West kind of joints with it's got one of that real like meringue fluffy head, but also the bitterness, which you don't really find of course in New England, but yeah, man, I dig it. Wouldn't drink it all the time. It's a little too sweet for me. That can tend to happen as they climb up in the ABVs as well. The final beer, I remember really loving this joint. This is called Everybody Loves Parfait, a dessert-style Berliner Weiss with lactose, soursop, tangerine, and apricot. So I was very excited about this one. We had this during the podcast as well. There we go. Got him. And of course, Team Lactose. Go follow us on Twitter at Team Lactose. I really love anything with apricot. So I'm like, an apricot Berliner with lactose. And what else was it? Soursop. I've had a few beers with soursop as well. Such a cool yet strange ingredient. And I figured this would be the one to finish off because it's probably a little on the sweeter side from memory. Tangerine as well. So great combo of fruits there. I haven't really seen soursop with these type of combo. Little opaque. Kind of smells more little tart on the nose. Getting in. That's what I'm saying. Nice, balanced tart tanginess. The lactose, I think it's like super subtle. It's not like over the top. It gives it a little bit more of a sweetness, I would say. The apricot is the one I'm looking for. I was about to say it dominates, but I really think it kind of balances out the tangerine there. The soursop doesn't have the most obvious flavor from what I understand, but it sort of would contribute to like that overall mouthfeel and probably a bit of the sweetness. Yeah, man. This is just a wicked dessert beer. So these are just three really cool examples of what O'Connor does in the tap room. From what I could tell from Kev, he was sort of saying that I think because he was one of the earlier breweries, he's in this weird space. I definitely highly recommend you go check out the convo. He's been around for 10 years and they're the second biggest brewery in the state. So then that sometimes gets people to overlook them as far as like for their innovation or the fun stuff they're doing in the tap room, because they do have the classics. Like the lager is fantastic. I tried a few of the other beers, but they have like 12? I reckon probably close to 20 taps in the tap room that had all different stuff, plus the cans to go that are only available there. And it's, you know, maybe people who are in the scene of Virginia might have only seen the mainstream stuff in the supermarkets and things like that. You know, being that you're the second largest, you know, you got to be everywhere. You got to be a good business person because the brewing industry is pretty tough. So for him, I think they get overlooked in that sense. So I would recommend to fellow beer nerds or newer people, either or. It works for everyone because there's stuff that's super chill that anyone who isn't a super beer nerd can enjoy. Plus there's some fun, funky stuff, and you know, for people like us. When I've been keeping an eye on the social, which is, I really enjoyed their social as well. There's a ton of new releases they're doing. Everything just looks super fun, and I really had a good time there. So I would highly recommend y'all get down in Norfolk, which is also a cool town. I wish we spent more time there. So guys, that is it. If you enjoyed the episode, mate, boom, smash the thumbs up. Hit subscribe below. Hit the notification bell so you know when the new drops. Follow us on social media at BAOS Podcast. Check out the long form audio, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. All that good stuff. Tons coming. That is it, y'all. Thank you for watching. We'll see you in the next episode. And as always, get it in, y'all.